composition. To say face and credibility, you got to say Loud have the better equipped composition here. But for ZETA, this is almost archaic, right? It relies a lot on just being fully invested in what they want to achieve. It's going to be tough. I mean, the desk have touched on a couple of things. We need to see big games out of 10 and depth. And actually, Laz now filling a very different supportive role, right? There's a lack of that anchor, which actually has been the cornerstone of some of ZETA's success.
Yeah, this is going to be a brutal game. Again, that fairy tale we saw really hit for ZETA. It's always so poignant. But it does seem to be the exception to the rule. However, we already have a good start. 10 are going to get things started, and we want to see a big performance from 10. He needs to have a heated game, especially, as you noted, with the composition tailoring towards that. As it stands, first pick, and the tempo gets held.
Spike actually now regrouping towards short. Less hasn't been given a peek just yet, but Depp is unnoted. Actually, the wall's going to cut that off as well. Got to be careful here. Second smoke goes up, and actually Sugar Zero able to catch a headshot onto Pancada.
Is it, how many rotations does this pull? It was only a spot on one.
Actually, with the deep position on long, I'm curious as to why they've sent that. Loud will actually find themselves a favourable numbers advantage here on A site. Depp slowly making his way back here.
The window's closing.
Yeah.
And the rotation's going to be maybe not going to be at least at the forefront of the hip, but the fight comes out well for Less. Carve some space and 10's removed, so back to a 4v4. Spike going to be planted. I don't doubt that's going down. Depp, though, happy to dive in, put life on the line for this. Pancada a little lower. Boombot there. Do they swing this? Not yet.
Crow's actually still posted up. He actually gets dealt with. Depp will find his second now, though, and actually...
How's Depp standing?
How?
Finally goes down. Pancada, the last one there, and a little bit of an up and over from Sugar Zero. And they do work this one out. I was amazed that Depp kept his life for that long. I
mean, they played it very cautiously around the boombot, actually. Isolating the Cloudburst, cutting off one of the angles there, but I think Loud are just so scared to dig any deeper.
Yeah.
Crow at this point, unnoted, I think, finally dealt with by Pancada, but great round from Depp, actually. Just getting ahead of this smoke.
And even just holding this.
Yeah, completely. Wow. Getting away with murder, actually coming away from that. Nobody even anticipating the possibility, but a nice opener from 10 here. Immediate pick off the rip outside showers, and as you noted, really slowed things down.
Good for confidence building too. If you're going to go for a composition like this, you have to play to what it entails, what it means. Those agents do lend to aggression. They don't stand the test of time when they elongate these rounds. So for them, they have to keep being somewhat proactive. We go back in though. We do see the sheriffs coming out, so no armor behind it, not too much utility either, very much a bare basics here coming out for Loud, but we've seen already plenty of damage can be achieved with these sheriffs.
Actually, the Phantom in hand. Depp. 10 trying to get back outside showers of that fault line as well, but no damage actually comes through.
Ooh, they crept up so quick to this. Depp's very aware, and Crow's trying to be in pretty much a complementary position, maybe get contact and slip CT if he does feel as though he's lost that, but they need to be really cautious on this timing. If they leave this gap open, there's the first spot, but one player's ahead. Aspas already there, Depp's in a little bit of danger, but he has full faith in his teammate, just focuses on what's in front of him, but he finally falls. That spins him down, and that's a 2-for-1 trade out. If that rifle got recovered, that could be an issue, and maybe it's an issue anyway. Utility invested, now the spike going down. A 3v3, and if they could get their hands on that gun, it would be wondrous. And oh my word, Les, how did you just get to? Now Les, how is he still standing in this one? Les backing away here. This is so dangerous, Laz. Okay, he saved it, but barely, Mike. I mean, this is already, that's a warning throughout the rest of the game.
Absolutely. It just so happens that there's nothing really to secure, obviously, front sight control and retrieve that weapon.
If
that
that
could have
Phantom
gone completely
got back
the other direction. I mean, even still came down to one. I think actually Laz taken 2 tags there with the Sheriff. Only 40 HP to drag that one across the line. A great round 2 from Loud, actually. I'm interested to see what ZETA's decision-making is here in terms of the purchase. The Phantom saved across, but whether or not everybody's even going to be able to get...
Oh, well, that's telling.
Just the one rifle, 2 Sheriffs and a Frenzy. So they're going to try and ride this out for round 4. Allowed to keep this clean. ZETA actually has 4, looking to get very, very aggressive outside hookup.
Full commitment behind this too. The flash to follow, and they really want to crunch towards this. Sassy's in a little bit of danger, and Aspas going to try and bail him out, and he does do exactly that. Gets away with his life, but the follow-up flash will keep them tamed, but still, this is good early work to deal with this aggression. Loud, fully aware now, and sharp work coming out. Leaving the 2 danger players, the ones that had the rifles, or at least at the end, still standing, Depp being one of them, but irrelevant to the outcome of the round, it feels at this point, as Loud so equipped to handle that.
Yeah, definitely. With the remaining credits, do want to see some damage, at the very least, but Loud, happy to wait this one out. I mean, it's still a minute left on the clock here. The swing punished. Asked for it to be clean, and it's a prime gaming flawless here for Loud. Really well handled. Again, these are the sorts of rounds that actually ZETA have to try and pull off, especially if they find themselves at a deficit here on the defense. They have to really take the initiative, take the fight to Loud.
Heard in the interviews they wanted pressure, ZETA feeling they thrive under it, but Loud, I feel just somewhat in the same. I don't think we've seen a bad look from Loud yet either. Keep in mind, obviously, this is a rematch already, one of the opening games earlier.
Well, actually, just to double down on that, ZETA are probably going to be feeling as if, yeah, we've got to switch up playstyle, right? If they came away from the first, you know, feeling a little dishevelled, expect big changes on their side. Obviously, this comp leads into that as well. Aspas tasked. Clears the hook a little bit. A third player committed towards this B-site hold again. This is 10 in Depp. Blade Storm in hand, actually, for Depp.
Clean opening work. That's devastating as well for ZETA, losing out so early on Sugar Zero, and that really shouldn't happen so comfortably. A deep paint shell comes in, and Aspas is just happy to take the space. It's pretty much, there is supporting utility behind it, but it is only really him dedicated to this so far. If they get another pick, I mean, ZETA will be in tatters.
Depp actually coming across now, but he's going to try and act upon, oh, well, I was going to say a flash from Crow, but with that molly going down, going to prevent any progress through CT. It's a double stack towards elbow.
And for this late mid play as well.
Look how disconnected Les is.
Super ratty position, the timing should be fantastic for it as well. Lovely work from Les, very heads up, keeping control of the longer flank, but also the TP on audio cue. Now, on the other side of things, though, ZETA did finally get a bit of success. Crow to take down Sadak, and the burst towards the site. One favourable kill, but it's instantaneously traded back. And again, the last two players for ZETA already tagged up in the time being purchased perfectly. And Laz looking good at it, but still he's got to get a move on. Pancada just playing the time here, slipping away towards long. Flash gonna come out, does not quite find him. They're running out of time, and they're running out of options here, Mike. It's just Laz alive, and it does not matter. Loud, with just keys to the castle there. Walking straight on in through hookah, pick on towards site, game on.
And again, just a little caution shown on the side of ZETA as well. As soon as that first player falls, Aspas finds the first blood, and again, the Trailblazer goes through, but there's no real way for them to slow this down. I mean, the paint shell obviously stops things coming out of that smoke from CT. The molly to then follow up on that. ZETA just don't have a lot of options in this retake, to be honest with you. Unless it comes from, you know, Crow and Depp making use of that Blade Storm. Almost locked down before the Spike's even making his way onto site. And bear in mind, Spike was not committed until Aspas had all this free space.
Yes,
because there was no re-challenge, that's when the information is relayed.
I don't think they even expected to have that much success, to be fair. And if he keeps getting away with this, it will command that someone from ZETA fills that void now. They have to respect this. Dangerous games being played.
Yeah, Laz nearly losing his life there. Unfortunately, Ten's painter actually bounces across to the left. So that got forced into that position, but the pre-fire will remove him.
That would look good today. I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit... It's very early in the game, but the indicators I'm seeing from Loud already really very telling. But ZETA, not much of a purchase this time. It is just odds and ends, so, you know, take it for what it's worth. Pro already tagged up, gonna switch things out. And so much information revealed. This is just ZETA have no way in. There's not even a chance of chip damage just yet. No, not at all. Loud taking it to him. This is aggression. This is confidence, but it's not overdoing it. There's a little bit of temper to it. I like this so far. Sarsi can't adjust in time, and Sugar Zero's giving himself a chance. Slim. Loud aren't letting him take space. Look at this double stack walking through. He gets the one. The spacing's not great. Aspas is there now, costing them 3 lives. Sure, round on the board regardless.
A decent buffer though in terms of the finances. This is the one that Loud can build a little bit of momentum behind. Ultimate's coming online though for ZETA. There's opener again with Ten just showing his positioning. Heads up pre-fire here to catch him. Yeah, actually on the other side of things, Loud have everything but the showstopper now. And this is the round that you might choose to invest a little bit. I mean, if required. It does have the operator online now. He's rewarded. He's trying to get ahead of this wall as well. So I've used a couple of times just to creep up and try and play contact off of.
See how he fares here. It's a gamble. Now he's going to know obviously Fade is there. Waits for it as long as he could. Does eventually have to give up the angle. So once again, the early work is being achieved here. Dice these rounds up into a couple of moments. The shower fight, the fight towards short, the fights on towards long. This time a little bit of a switch up here. Laz committed towards the TP side and has support from Crow.
Curious to see here, actually, if this is a contact playoff. Laz's confirmation with a flash, maybe? Crow's got the fault line set up.
It's a gamble, though, and the timing. Laz makes a meal of it. I'm going to be honest, that doesn't look good. And now the pressure's going to start mounting, coming in as well. Look who's flying on in! Aspas! Barely got his feet on the ground before he was left for dead. And now we're down to a 4v3. Sugar Zero, 10, and Dep still standing. But the plants in and the ults have already come out. You can see Sussy as well, all ready to go if they need it. No threats shown just yet. Sugar Zero warded away from CT. Is there any way back in?
You can already see as well, Pancada disconnected with this orbital strike, and there's no flank coming through, so the fact that the clock has run down this much already, Pancada just finds a blind one. 10 will fall. That should be the round done now, whether or not even these weapons are able to be saved as they'll try and challenge back through spawn. The operator, the one you ultimately want him to hold on to, but the flash is good.
Yeah, he's going to be hunted, and he's gone. Operator removed. Loud, I've got to say, it felt like it was all banking on long there, Mike.
Yeah, just to note one thing as well, Sadak actually puts a crucial flash to prevent Crow from even following up on his fault line, which, again, you think maybe he's going to find the one into Pancada at worst, but there's little things like that in the mid-round. They just don't have a lot of recovery tools, right? And this is where we come back to the composition in terms of what they actually have to work with. The lack of information gathering, you know, you can only play one of these initiators with info tools on one side, right? So if you lose that mid-round becomes really, really difficult for ZETA, and it actually leans them more into playing aggressive in the early round, because they have to find something, they have to discover something they can act upon.
Yeah, tangible, something to really draw away and act upon. And this timeout needs to address a couple of these issues here, because that early game, you've got to say it, Loud has been winning out in several of those areas, be it the shower fight, that now we've seen a couple of times. I think it's 10 kind of being, you know, forced away from that, not feeling so confident. You look towards short, then you're going to have Dep with that operator, got forced off the angle with the Fade utility coming in. You look towards long. That time, a little bit of an outplay, a little bit of a fumble from Laz, but even then, you add into that hookah as well, kind of just the step out coming in from, who was it, Aspas?
Well, it's a little bit of a slip up, but the very nature of Breach's utility, right, is it's a committed clear. Again, you can't just post these fault lines and hope for the best.
Absolutely.
That's why it kind of relies on a lot of aggression, which goes without saying with this composition, the defensive side being the more concerning aspect of that. But it's definitely something we've got to see ZETA put something into their next buy round to try and capitalize on that.
Because again, if you're just tuning in and maybe you're not noting the score, but look towards the top here, the first two rounds were the pistol round. They're the ones that ZETA got as soon as the rifles have come out to play. It's actually been quite clear cut for Loud in my mind. It's not been particularly contested. So at this point, a little bit of a half buy really, Spectres, Stingers, and bits and pieces, but it's far from writing home about.
Look at the pinch.
They're trying it, but now just spin on a dime. Sassy unfazed by this, very, very cognizant. There's going to be further layers to it. 10, though, going to find connection. And they're committing behind this. Sadak still standing. And there's so much damage everywhere. What an unorthodox fight. But the problem becomes that it's just 10 alive on 47 HP. With all that commitment, can he get any more from this? Another kill would be beautiful.
I mean, Loud almost want to police these guns. They don't want to give 10 any opportunity here, but he's solo HP.
And Sassy's
Sassy should catch it, yeah.
Well, I don't mind the attempt. I'd never mind the attempt on those sort of buys. Try something out of the norm. Try and bring something into play.
But that is the sort of thing you need to see in the buy rounds.
Yeah, you're right.
For it to be sustainable here on the defense, that's the sort of thing we need to see. Actually, even with Loud actually pulling hitting the panic button with the orbital strike to make sure that they can buy a little time to actually take these engagements. It's about the owner bonus to come out of that round loss on the side of ZETA.
Got to get fired up here, Mike. You don't walk in this map with this composition and then play it out in any standard fashion. You simply can't do it. I need to see them stand up to the challenge here. Early horn towards long to ensure that no one's crossed over towards that TP side. The flash to follow will now note 10. But the switch up on the side, you can already see it in a fast rotation being considered. They're pulling early.
And I mean, it's the same. You look at the minimap, it's a carbon copy. Spike not committed yet. This is just the early probe from Loud. And it's actually burning up so much util. from ZETA's composition.
Look at this, really now, and they actually clear it. I like the commitment finally from 10. At least they're going to try and get value for all the utility committed and check on this. But they maybe overextend, maybe they get a little hungry for it, but Dep's the one to keep this in check. Good trade for V3, finally advantage.
Great timing on the Seekers as well. For Laz to put that out then and just confirm that. And actually does find Pancada on the back of it, so great work from Laz, actually anchoring a side, finds the second onto Les as well.
You could not ask for greater value from Laz, standing tall on his own here, finally gets taken down by Sassy, but look at these targets, so many, and eventually the one on the left will probably be his downfall. If Dep dares to step further forward, but no. With 38 seconds, what does Sassy do? So much utility still to play with. A little bit of time, but not a lot. It's going around towards
30 seconds left.
Now, eventually 10 will turn.
I was going to say, where's that internal clock actually going to...
The second hand ticks and he turns, and now Sassy, he'd have to really outplay 10 here, and he's done just that, clean enough. 18 seconds, going to be able to clear close. Back of the box as well. Breach utility comes in. Buying precious seconds, 10 now remaining. Horn goes up. Does he get anything for it? Well, he knows one, but the cross is being watched, and he predicts it, but the time is dwindling, and as are the bullets in the mag. Crow gets him, and, well, finally, ZETA hold on. But Mike, talk me through that round, because there's some differences here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the sort of thing I'm talking about. ZETA actually scrambled to take this fight on B side. As soon as contact's found, or at least there's presence shown on the other side, immediately 2 players sent across. And it's talking about the lack of an anchor. Laz still fulfilling that role here. Like I said, perfect timing on the Seekers to actually identify that split coming through from showers. Isolates Pancada immediately. Less actually the freebie on the second. So great play there. And again, I love the commitment. As soon as it come through, the fault line's there. It's a hard clearance this time around. Yep. A little bit safer, playing a bit deeper in garden, actually. But that's the sort of thing we want to see from ZETA. Actually back on this operator. Same position again. But he's pressured off.
I thought he'd have gone away with that, but you can see ZETA still trying to tend to this. Aspas outdone. Huge impact again and no trade available. That's a freebie. You can fall back from that. I like this play coming out from ZETA. This is a perfect adjustment.
Big tick in the box as well, identifying that more often than not, it's Aspas outside here. It's just a double swing from Hooker to remove him from that position. An early advantage, actually, for ZETA in this round.
I've got your trail.
Seekers on the other side going to come out. That's going to give Dep a little bit of timing to play with. Not too much anymore. This is precarious. Why are you out in the open? Les wants it and he gets it. Clutches down Dep. Now the ult going to come through as well. Buy a couple more seconds and maybe a little bit of an overreach there. Sassy going to punish Crow. Blaz on the trade. Sadek on the swing. Can't get to the back of the side. So hyper aware of it. It's time to run. Pull the plug and get out of there. But Pancada, can you just time? Oh
He's got an operator, so if he gets pinched here.
They're on the TP. He's still alive, but only for a second. And now it's Sassy in a 1v3. Maybe a little more feasible this time. Horn back up in 4. He needs 1 for free. And to be able to keep his life, he needs no trade. Now the paranoia is starting to build. Surely he knows there's going to be 2 here. The timing on this utility, it's got to be, yeah, he's got to know now. The flash goes in, doesn't find it. Spots 1, gets 1. The second, the spray, not good enough. 10 keeps ZETA in this. I think they want that operator, going to go back for that. But ZETA are answering back. Mike, we wanted aggression. We wanted considered rotations. We are getting it.
Absolutely. And again, it's the decisiveness here coming out of Hooker, isolating Aspas. Whether or not Loud are actually going to draw an extra player now, just to be conscious of this. This is the sort of thing, we're getting to the point of the half now where actually ZETA probably feeling as if they can disrupt a little bit on these defensive rounds. We're not allowed actually now lead heavier towards a single site in terms of orienting maybe an execute. Now actually, the economy starting to dwindle, but Loud, a little bit of an offer. Showstopper available for Aspas in 1. ZETA actually tapped out now, but Laz and Sugar Zero back on.
I'm looking at Dep right here. I wonder if he commits a little deeper to this. They are at least going to prop up 10. Post him in towards the corner. He's going further, and that's going to be a shoulder shown, but he needs to respect this and back away. What does 10 do with this information now? Does he stick around longer, or does he respect this? You noted there could be even a heavier stack, and there is, leaving just 1 towards that B site.
Interesting thing, actually, Aspas not reacting upon that. The smoke going to slow things down, definitely in Hooker, but Dep and Crow in tandem make their way back towards B, anticipating Loud leaning back in this direction. Like I said, still no commitment from the spike. So Loud are just anticipating aggression, looking for this opening engagement, but finally stacking up now. Whether actually Sassy's going to post the Nightfall through here. I mean, Aspas has still got double satchel here, so he could get himself onto site.
The timing of the flash dep has nowhere to go. He has to stand and fight this for now. Going to dip himself in towards the smoke and try and maybe depend on his teammates for a second. But Aspas did still have that pain shell. Going to isolate Crow. Trade comes out. Dep still standing.
Oh my God.
Dep still fighting. Huge pick towards Sassy. And they're holding at the front lines. Unbelievable. And Sadak's getting surrounded. He's got a player behind him as well. Sadak has nowhere to back to. He has to take the fight now. Oh, he tries to go for 10, but he's outdone him. And this is stabilizing work for ZETA. They needed this. This is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Beautiful adjustment from them. And being happy here to send both across after initially not being rewarded for the aggression on A short. They come through, and like I said, Dep and Crow getting themselves towards the side where actually this utility can come to fruition. Really, really well played.
Beautifully played. It's forced the timeout allowed. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little worried that potentially ZETA didn't have the options to go to, that they could have just been overwhelmed by it. Very hard to pick yourself up, be aggressive, be proactive, be concise in that sort of work when you've been under the gun a bit, right? When you're losing out in rounds here and there. But they picked themselves up, they answered perfectly. Exactly what you asked for, what we had wanted. Now the question then becomes, does Loud find an answer in these last couple here to maybe try and equalize this up a little bit further or take it back in their favor?
I think with how some of this has gone, and it almost feels unfortunate for Loud because they almost have to kind of gamble. They can't really hedge their bets here on Bind. There's so many considerations of where early aggression is going to come from and whether or not ZETA actually now lean back on one of these contact plays on the back of Crow's utility or potentially Laz as well. It's going to be interesting to see Loud. I do want to see them stack up and try and hit a site here because I think there are gaps. It's just ZETA are kind of gamble stack. One in the previous it was just one. It was Sugar Zero towards B site. All it took was a smoking hooker to prevent Aspas to really figure anything out, any tangibles at least in that round, and it pretty much guaranteed them the round win.
Yeah, it's riskiness, isn't it? And it is just how brave do Loud feel. Do they dare go for an all-in piece off the back of this? Like, even the purchase isn't brilliant. You're going to have, what, 2 sheriffs coming through here with the light armor as well. Really only Sassy on the decent buy. On the other side, look at the aggression again. Switch up this time. Going to post depth towards long.
So many different looks.
Yeah, and brought into position by the flash too. So again, it's not without intent. Prowler goes through. Analyst desk getting rowdy down there.
Yeah.
Aspas forced off with the flash.
Launching smoke.
And Loud trying to get at least a read of the game. As it stands, filtering back towards that A site.
Set up this time around. Much earlier for Loud to collapse into this formation. This time around, actually, the fault line and the orbital strike, gambling on finding something with that stun. Smoke behind it, and now actually the clock becomes a little bit of a concern.
Certainly does. Walking in blind to this Laz going to be standing. Okay, just a shot in the dark. Fair enough. Seeker's going to come out. That confirms everything. He goes back in. A little brazen for my taste into this, but 10 considering maybe taking the space in towards shower, ensure some safety here because there's so much pressure coming through on short. 25 seconds, going to try some buy at least a little bit of time, but the Molly not going to really deny too much. Plant's now in. 10's position will at least keep some space here. This post plant won't be all that comfortable.
It really isn't, but even numbers at least. Not a lot of utility to work with as well on the side of Loud. Crow just about got his fault line back up. Tap on the spike, actually doesn't even draw peak just yet.
10? 10 just flew in, and Pekada makes light work of 2, leaving all down to depth. Where'd you find a fair fight here? You just don't.
No, back away. Try and hold on to this operator.
Yep.
Again, the economy comfortable enough, but don't really want to be giving this over to Loud as well, especially with some of these rounds playing out a little slower than anticipated. Nice conversion. But 10 just a little desperate to get ahead of that, and again, no flash to come through. There's not really much to work off there. The fault line being the only thing to put into that retake. A slower approach, but like I said, it felt a little awkward. The smoke goes up and now completely freeze almost. Yeah. And that's to the point where they got there with, what, 1:05 on the clock, and it's just the fault line, the orbital strike, the smoke behind it that buys basically 25, 30 seconds.
Now, going forward, though, at 5 to 6, this is the first answer back for Loud. It was those 3 that was strung together by ZETA that we were quite impressed with those adjustments because the scoreline was going to look quite drastic. The scoreline's actually still pretty good for Loud, you've got to say. Whichever way this ends, just purely from the gun rounds alone. At this point, Let's see what they've got here. Way higher pressure building towards the B side. Instantly, ZETA have to respect this. They've already forced back towards L, but they do not have enough to fight towards the site here. Aspas out. Site controlled. Spike should be able to be planted pretty much uncontested. There it is, time on their side. Loud just picking up pace here. This is much different.
Actually, a double flank coming through here. It's Depp and 10. Les is going to have his hands full here. Actually spots it out. Depp goes for the peak, but tagged up. 10 there to pick up the slack on the other side. That's actually both snake bites removed. Whether or not Les was going to rely on those in his post plant.
The gap's getting closed as well. 10 going to be here on the doorstep, knocking on the door. Pancada answers it, greets it with a smile, no problems there.
He's got his orbital strike.
Another chance, and you're right, another key tool ready to go if required. And Deb going to do everything he can. And can he find Sadak? The bomb flash is so good, he sends it into the dark.
He's got a strike!
He flies in! And he gets flown out. Sadak holds a nerve, and honestly, Loud. Big half here, 7-5. A little bit of correction came in for ZETA there, but overall, Loud looked good.
Absolutely, but again, credit where credit's due. ZETA making this composition work in a couple of these key rounds in terms of the economy, in terms of the timeline. Just really, really great work from them. I'm excited to see them carry this across to the second half, Lauren.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what the desk has to say about this first half, because it's been quite the tale of two halves and some big adjustments from either side.
Thank you very much, Pansy and Hyper. Now, we had some question marks regarding the ZETA division comp. Tom, Jet, defense bind, yay, nay? What are your thoughts?
I will say initially, nay. Like, I think the initial setup they had, which was basically 10 and Dep on the same side of the map, I was just like, that doesn't make... Like, you've got the utility to set them up, and then you're just going to go, hey, 10, do you want to, like, peek that same angle again and see if you can win the duel? But then a few rounds later, they actually started coming up with a few innovative strats, like having those stack-ups on the B site. You had the Anchor of Laz, which... Okay, Anchor on a Sky is definitely not normal, but they used the Seekers to actually get the information when they needed. So there was some smart stuff coming out of their side. The issue was it took them a little bit of time, and then you have the adjustments from Loud, who on the attacking side, when you have players like Aspas just doing well in the open, it's always going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them scrambling for a bit, for a bit there. Depp started things off incredibly well with that pistol round. It looked like they were going to be in a really, really nice spot, but then a lot of the rounds, they go straight into that anti-eco. They lose so many of their guns. They're barely able to just recover the Phantom at the end of it all. So it was really rough because the wins that were coming through early on for ZETA were not clean ones, which really offset them. But looking forward, going into the second half, this is going to be a heat map here of ZETA Division where they like to play around on the attacking side.
Well, I think
they really like the sites.
Yes, this is going to be a year collective here, taking a look at the sites. But I mean, widely, it's going to be not that creative. It's just going to be default planting from these guys. It's going to be fairly straightforward.
Might be different though because of the comp, because of the meta, because everything that's happening right now, Tom. So, or they just plant.
It is good.
Win.
It does help on the attacking side if you plant. I agree.
I think that's a really... I think, like, this is why you're on the desk, Tom.
Honestly, yeah,
I
think they brought me in for my
Yeah.
sheer intelligence. And I honestly, I don't know how the casters will even understand something that complicated.
The upside to it is that they have gotten plants down on this map, so there's hope.
They had over 70.
How?
That's a lot of
How
plants.
dare you assume Pansy and Hypok won't understand that graphic? Come on, guys.
Huh. Interesting.
I wonder which site ZETA are going to hit. Or if they decide to plant when they get there.
Well, it's the big question, Mike. We'll find out in a moment's time. No, but kind of really bring this back now. Let's talk about what this now entails, right? ZETA's composition is aggression all out. It's meant to suit the attacking side. It's meant to look good. Surely they should be able to dip into that now, right? This should be the strong suit, even though I was a little worried about their attack in the previous series that they played against Loud.
I think I have the same concerns, and it's once we get to the point where that plant comes through, if Loud opt for a deeper hold, actually they win out in the utility game, right? Hold that thought for a moment, because ZETA are straight up long here. It's a double stack in hookah. Sugar Zero will be identified on the outside of this. He's got to slip away, but he's actually marked here. He's going to have a lot of pressure coming through. Sassy finds the kill.
Yeah, he hunted him down. There was no escape from that. And with the plant now down, time good, but the positions, it's almost like a flip. Just spin it around. Laz, the timing's everything on this. Who gets it? Okay, spots maybe two there, I'm pretty sure. Flash comes in, going to buy some time. Needs to fall away, and actually leaves Depp to take up that mantle. Dep still unfazed by this. Can get a little aggressive. The follow-up flash.
Utility.
So much utility, but no intent behind it yet. Pitch dealt with. Laz turns, takes down Sassy. ZETA holding the line. And Laz will not relent. Gorgeous work from Laz.
Wow.
Brilliant. Between those two, one to hold long, one turns around, catching the push out of Hookah. That could have all fallen to pieces, and it didn't.
I mean, you see the sorts of problems that ZETA have to deal with, right? If they can get the plan, what's difficult is maintaining control, right? But they actually weather the storm. All of this utility comes through. You notice all it takes is a fault line. There's nobody there to capitalize on the flash, the paint shell, the trailblazer. There's just no space gained on that retake.
Big round for Laz. Confidence builder there. Very aggressive start. You're going to be feeling yourself after that. And this could close the scoreline right back up. 7 apiece if they convert here. And it looks likely considering the purchase that will be obviously alongside Loud. So
And the setup.
yeah, hey, it's a gamble. It is what it is. Towards the side they go. Should be pretty much a free plant. Looking towards the timing on Hookah, maybe. If they get caught out on that. 10. Going to be tried to be closed down on, but actually Crow, really nice support system there. Making sure there's no easy fight. And sit down CT, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, you know, gets the job done,
I
Michael.
think you thought you had a Spectre for a moment there, but it's the Prime Gaming flawless here in round 2. 5 alive. Carry across all this inventory and good ultimate progress early on for 2 people, Dep and Crow. You want to see actually in terms of... Okay. Once in the highlight reel.
They loved it.
The fans are on their feet. But yeah, just seeing the Rolling Thunder coming close, and obviously the Blade Stormers are actually potential to have this online for the next. Maybe to make use actually if they win this out, lose a couple of weapons. Just a couple of tools to offset that purchase. ZETA fancying their chances at B once again. We're not allowed to be able to this early on adjust and find some sense of security here. But Sadhak to take first contact. He's actually peeking way ahead of the archway.
Dep's had to get out of there, but 10 quickly to the case. Less with the trade though, so no quick springboard towards the site. He has to fall away though. Will concede at least site control. You can see that deeper prowler coming out. They're trying to get that information on the other side. But the site is available. Quick TP taken, and Aspas going to take Sugar Zero's life. That's a little bit of this viability in half, but you're right. Does Aspas consider this timing? He was thinking about it because he noted the TP was taken earlier, but it's all a matter of moments. Spike now down, and Laz looking towards CT, and the timing's great. ZETA find 2 in combination on opposing sides of this post plant and bring it back to a favorable situation. HP not pretty though. Dep and Laz low.
We have to fight this one back through actually. Dep position behind here, and now just can't find any peaks. ZETA not giving anything away. Want to hold on to this post plant as best they can. Sassy and Pancada both out now. The first falls. The trade comes through. Last player Dep though, he's very low HP, 22.
What does he do with this? Sassy facing his fear. He's holding it down.
My God.
He's not gonna stop Sassy. Unbelievable, taking his life in the end as well. And that's brutal for ZETA. That could have been a big round to pull this one right back forward.
But a great positive to see. Oh, we're talking about commitment with this composition. Immediately, they're looking to dive on that first contact. Can't remember who it was that got punished. I believe Sadhak towards long on guarded. Immediately, as soon as that contact comes through, they're throwing bodies on to get that first blood.
And it's a burden they have to bear throughout this game, though. You choose this sort of composition, you cannot ever rest on your laurels. You have to be right back into the action. And well...
But look at the next one, though.
I mean, yeah. Who won the last?
On the side allowed, actually. Not looking pretty at all. 1 rifle, a shorty, a sheriff, a frenzy.
God.
Expected to round things out. The Blade Storm online here. The Seekers as well. Again, ZETA lean heavily towards Fountain. This is exactly what I'm talking about. There's 4 people here looking to pressure Sadhak on long. He's going to get caught by the exact same fault line once again, Lauren.
Dep's got in, and you're absolutely right. He does get caught. They've sliced this map up, and the site's theirs. Dep's going to almost overdo this. He wants to hold CT, but that smoke will at least keep Loud safe for a second as they emerge from the smoke. Dep caught napping. Not good at all. Losing out to a frenzy, but 10 right on the case. Aggression brimming. And this purchase was not pretty for Loud. All function and no form. But this weapon deadly as ever. 45 HP though, not much to play with here. Gonna maybe clear towards top of B long. But any further would be highly unlikely.
Yeah, even here, Sassy's rifle recovered from the previous. ZETA are actually going to be the ones to boom out of this in terms of holding on to what they've got. Sugar Zero and Depp actually at 4,200 after the spike plant comes through. ZETA going to be looking very healthy here. Actually, the next purchase could break Loud's bank, honestly.
See where we go for that. See how it looks. I'm impressed so far. I think watching back the initial game with ZETA, I was worried about the aggression, the spacing, the timing, and finding confidence in a game like this when you've already lost to this opponent in a couple of very key areas. Seeing them turn it back here already, very, very much a tick in the box for me.
Losing to them though, but playing with no fear, right?
Yes.
Committing behind some of this, well, the few bits of utility they've got to do here is brilliant to see.
Full intent.
Actually, on the flip side of that, Sadak, as he learnt his lesson now, this hold on B long has been concerning, to say the least. Like I said, there's so many bodies to collapse on it. This time around, doesn't want to die to that same fault line. And for the first time, actually, ZETA looking to explore elsewhere on the map. So you look for what this mid-round looks like for Loud, actually. Trailblazer dealt with outside hooker, so probably going to keep 3 players towards B. But presence shown on both sides of the map here. That's actually picked off a little ahead of the curve here.
Huge opener, and you can see Pancada just in panic mode, has to try and slip away from this. You probably have to fall all the way to CT here. ZETA have got the site. Crow's going to get the plant down. There's 4 to try and play back in. What do we have? One smoke, ult. Actually, a little bit of utility still left with Loud, so they do have the option to try and work this one back in. There's the ult going to come down, but you can already note it. ZETA sitting deep
wise
to this.
To it. Very wise to it. I think they've seen that that's up and they don't want to prioritize the lamp. So actually the swing from Depp is no good. Punished by Sadak.
Yeah, but 10's still here, and 10 likes to turn it up. Turns it only into 1 kill. Quick trade comes out. Pancada still stands, and we got a 3v3. Let's look at those post-plant positions. Any late game utility. Crowstar has a little bit to bring into play. Notes the spike is no longer being committed to. The Molly's in. Crow's going to try and fight this one out, but it's all down to Sugar Zero.
The Molly's won the round.
At the time, they don't have it. They got to back away. TP out. ZETA taking the lead here.
Wow. Just comes down to the one piece of utility. It's something we keep harping on, but ZETA use it to convert this post one. And the reason behind that is this is just held by 2 members allowed. One of them dies. Pancada, faced with a lose-lose situation in that. Has to back away, try and make use of his orbital strike. But like I said, great awareness from ZETA of exactly how to play this post plant. 0 risk from the orbital strike.
Love that awareness in pressure situations, though. Easy to make a couple of mistakes here and there, lose that little bit of focus in those moments.
The other thing as well, we're not seeing ZETA completely dive the backlines in these post plants, right?
No,
They're not getting overzealous. They're happy to actually slip back into a site hold, but
Hold on.
that's it so quickly.
Yeah, the decay's there as well. He's got to be really careful, just trying to keep his life. And actually, Aspas comes out the worst in this, down to 45, and somehow 10's in. A little bit of utility now committed, but it's Sugar Zero to find Aspas, and now look at the positioning. ZETA once again stranglehold on this map. The purchase was pretty brutal coming in, and there's the response though. Orbital strike on the other side, now invested. You see the close coming in, a bit of a wrap here as well, but look at the 2 players deep towards short. That's Laz and Depp, and are they aware of this? Absolutely now.
Laz is posted for it as well.
Yep, waiting for it. It's not an easy way back in now. Nightfall going to come down, but they need to start this one fast. Good work, but a quick trade. And a better shot from Sadak comes out. Depp and 10 in unison. Sadak has no way in. Look at these positions. Still has a flash. Seek has plenty to play with, but it all feels irrelevant to outcome. As the time dwindles, he's trying to at least cause some casualties. A quick flash over the top, but he is getting out of there. It's going to be double digits for ZETA. And considering we questioned their attacking side, we questioned the composition, they have come out looking damn good.
Playing it to perfection, though. And actually, just to note as well, the Nightfall comes through so late there from Sassy.
Yeah.
That there's almost not an awful...
Can't close into it,
exactly.
I feel.
Laz, not really noted, but... Wow, I'm really impressed with ZETA so far here on Bind. And actually, even to say, Loud are keeping this within 2 rounds. Interesting to see, actually, Depp is 4-0 on first duel so far. And that's the win condition. You see the double duelist come out, you see the breach alongside it. Yep. There has to be value, and it needs to be numerical value behind it.
Yeah, it's like that perfect balance of, you know, the discipline and the control coming in, but also then having to be able to pick up instantly and then be aggressive, but not too aggressive. It's such a long list of things to get right, but ZETA are doing it. And they forced the timeout from Loud here, who've not really had much an impact on this half, Mike. They've been very much at the beck and call of ZETA, as everything ZETA are doing is looking very good. I don't know what the answer is here for Loud.
5-1 on the half, just to put it in context,
Yes.
actually. And this is the point where you actually look at the money, and this next round could be ZETA almost probability-wise getting themselves to map point, honestly. Loud's going to be broken after this. Aspas one off the showstopper, about the only positive to come out of this.
Sure.
But ZETA honestly could put Loud back against the ropes right here in round 19. Even so, the way they're going to play, it doesn't really matter how many of them get traded out. This can be a scrappy round as well, because they can afford the purchase behind it.
Yeah, the purchases. It's making me nervous for Loud, actually, seeing how these rounds have gone down. As you said, 5-1 now.
It's interesting to see as well, with
Wow.
how much pressure they felt on B-Long, the Viper's Pit's going to be invested here off the rip. Again, because it's been such a pressure point for ZETA.
And
Look at the backstab.
He's found another way in 10!
Immediately!
Unleashing straight to ZT, overcooks it a little towards Pancada. But that's not even where they're going. They're still looking towards A. Depp striding in, and now there's got to be an answer. There has to be some stopping power coming through from Aspas potentially, or that later position kicking in for Sassio towards Shower. Has the Horn still to invest if he needs it. The plant just tapped, not committed, and the fight comes out. He draws out Sassy into the fight. Crow wins that, and now player advantage.
Satchel out.
See Pancada the one to find that, so no showstopper just yet, but it's online now. And actually immediately wants to rip it out. Aspas will find the one.
Down A.
It's Laz now in a 1v2. Actually, the flank coming through. Does he consider this?
When's he turn? Does he ever turn? He does.
He's turned the wrong way.
Behind Tim, he has no idea where Les was coming from. A shot in the dark and it goes astray. Loud. After what could have been a horrific start, that entry coming in, flying in, clearing sight, but the overpush towards CT kind of gave it away, but I don't blame him for trying it.
You can't falter. The Viper's Pit gets invested here. You got to assume there's some space between the sites in terms of the setup, in terms of when that rotation is going to come through. So actually really unlucky for 10 not to get much deeper spawn control. And then at that point, Les is really feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's instantaneous decision making from ZETA. They need to be. They can't afford to, you know, slow play these rounds out. Especially with Loud definitely feeling the heat here in the second half. They have to be the ones to ultimately alter the outcome here. As I say that, ZETA will dial it back a little bit. Maybe wanted to bait a little bit off Sadak's flashes on long. And an attempt at denying some information here, and that's key. The Trailblazer got nothing. The second flash, though, will catch Fountain.
Not enough to pull a rotation, though. Still 3 players dedicated towards A.
ZETA are basically doing the same thing, but you know,
Prowler
30,
now.
40 seconds later in the round.
Yeah.
And it's just a Prowler. All 3 players are rotating off A now.
Well, they had contact on short and contact coming in through long as well, so it makes perfect sense. 10, though, going to be the first one forward, trying to make them hemorrhage players, and he does. Finds another. His entry work has been sublime. The follow-up not so good. Les gets the better, and the spike's not down yet, so this is not as safe as they'd like it to be, but the plant going to come through. And Crow's going to hold on to this, and it looks like Loud want to fight back right now. Paint Shell towards the site. He's got a swing. Can he make anything of his life? No. And it's just a brutal battle, and Loud come out on top of this. Leaving Sugar Zero in a 1v4. The spike scene just being diffused in front of his face. There's nothing to say. It's 10-10. Louder back in the game.
I think the decision making coming out of the timeout is first time you see somebody, let's send everybody there. Clear the site, even prevent the plant from coming through. Just make sure that they can swing control back in their favor. Actually, it's going to force the timeout right back from ZETA as well, because it's an awkward time. I mean, we were talking about ZETA winning a buy round and ultimately looking as if they might go to map point. Now it's tied up 10 apiece. And with the funds here, it's going to be a Blade Storm coming in. Crow does have the Rolling Thunder, so an opportunity to make something work here. It's not going to be a full purchase. What a way for this to swing back through as well.
Credit to Loud being able to pull this one back off, because I was a little worried they were out of this game.
I mean, they were getting slapped about for the first 5 rounds.
Absolute thrashing in the first few, but stabilized here at a critical time for themselves. Now, the answer for them has been found, at least to get to this point. The question then now sits with ZETA, what do you have to bring out? Is there more depth to this? Is there more maybe on-the-fly calling? Is there a bit of mid-routing to bring out here? Have you learned any sort of traits that you can potentially abuse here or get away with? So that's what I'm looking at coming out of this timeout. But again, with this purchase, we'll see the commitment off the back around it, and that's going to be the relatively telling part is do they commit everything behind it as well? Or at least a fair amount.
And almost you're thinking, in this round, you want to hold on to this Rolling Thunder for the buy round.
Yes.
Feels a little awkward to pin it on a lesser purchase. It's going to be a rifle coming. I'm just seeing exactly where ZETA end up here. 10 actually buys a rifle down to 600 credits.
Get out of my way!
And no alteration this time around. Laz actually a little disconnected here. We're playing outside showers, but immediately the flash from A site can cause a trade out of positions. Pancada actually picks up the backside of A site now, and I'm assuming Sadak's come across here to make use of that flash, but 10 punished immediately. Rifle recovered though, but it's Depp with the Blade Storm that picks it up.
Still looking at where they find entry to this. Steps in, gets towards site. Keep in mind where Laz is in all of this.
No rotation yet.
No.
Happy to give away the plant, potentially.
It feels like they've nothing to fight back into it with, so they're going to have to abscond from fighting towards site. Late Prowler comes in, but the late Lurk, I wonder on the timing of this. Laz could potentially find two of these players if he gets the timing right, maybe not. At this point, he's going to be too late to this, going to hit towards long. Depth's now gone as is Sugar Zero. Loud, composure is key and keeping poised in this. No stress just yet, and the last one alive is Laz. And with zero vision on the spike, so little chance at this. And the bodyguards are on duty. Loud not taking chances. 5 standing. Perfect work from them. And just didn't look phased in that round.
No, and they're sitting much deeper on these sides. Now almost anticipating ZETA, replicating what they were able to in the first few rounds. And immediately here, even after creating the man advantage, they show a lot of respect to ZETA. They actually back away and wait till they have massive numbers advantage, even throwing the Seekers out here. That's something that you could argue with this matchup. It's quite surprising. I think that's actually dictated by how the first half went.
I think you're absolutely on the money with that. Now, this is the round that the timeout potentially should have been for if you're ZETA. This is the one you've got all your adjustments in mind with. Let's see what they've got here at 10 to 11. Loud on the verge, stringing together rounds in the final hours of the first map. What does ZETA have to bring out now?
Slight pace changes. It's towards A this time around. 3 players sent down B long, past Fountain, racing towards Market already. I mean, Laz is going to have his hands full here.
Laz, no! The beating heart of this team. Laz will not relent. Goes back in for more. The flash to go as well. Laz is trying to lock this one down, leaving Aspas, Les, and Pancada reeling off the back of this one. Now isolated over towards T side. 2 tucks towards CT that can't make it back in now. And Laz can sit on this. The rest of Loud need to be doing the heavy lifting here to try and find their way back in the timing. No. This could be heartbreak. Laz goes back and checks. Paint Shell now committed. Laz has to fall off this. Responds with the flash to try and slow down the roll. Investment of utility. Aspas is drawing the attention. The rest of Loud are closing in, but Laz, heart still beating, still finding the kill. That's 3 this round, leaving just Les alive. And ZETA, I can't believe it. They might be pulling this one back to 11-11. It looks likely. Les can give it a try. He can try and catch him on the way out, and Crow says no. It's 11-11, Mike. It's closed up again.
I mean, switch him off the agent, but he's still fulfilling the exact same role. Delivering for ZETA there, finding 2 out of the 3 flanking players from now. This is absolutely crucial. And the key thing as well is, throws the Seekers out, maybe a little bit of an over-investment, but still buys so much time. He puts the pressure right back on Loud, which are only 2 on the other side of the map. There's not an awful lot you do. This is Laz single-handedly making sure they still have favorable numbers on site. Fantastic work from him.
But they're not out of the woods just yet. Bear in mind, Loud were stringing together rounds. Those 3 rounds look gorgeous with them. And now, perfect implementation of this Viper's Pit. Les could not have been in a better position for this one so far. You know, the...
Going exploring elsewhere, though.
Does ZETA even consider this? Do they clear back through this? They look quite meticulous in approach. They're being cautious, and rightly so. Let's see how well they clear back through here.
Problem being, if they find contact, the Rolling Thunder can be posted here immediately. Well, Sugar Zero is going to actually does show a little bit of discipline here.
Wow.
You can see immediately, actually, Crow considering it, but...
The forethought to do that is wonderful. And do they? Yeah, they're picking up the pace on the back!
They catch Sassy! Oh my
You
god.
almost had him dead to rights. Aspas, Sassy, and Pancard now sweating bullets on the side. Do they commit to the back of this Aspas? He's got the wall in front of him, does get caught, gets thrown into the air! They've just traded! Sugar Zero gonna take down Sassy, but there's still
Oh my
someone
god!
among us here! Aspas, how are you like, oh my god! Aspas! How has he found this many kills here? And he's gotten away with his life! Gone out, he finally goes down! Still doing damage in a 2v3. Deb needs a miracle now. Sugar Zero, 30 HP, Pancard is there, it's surely gonna be 12. Deb, do you have it in you? 20 seconds, 3 to find. And Aspas just murdered your team. He's being surrounded, he can hear the steps, he can see the players. Loud gonna make it to 12. How did Aspas do that?
I actually think they clash into each other mid-air. And then somehow Aspas, because he's traded places, but he's gone into the smoke where ZETA are stacked behind.
Yep.
What a ridiculous play.
Show me this.
Oh my god. I mean, Crow's actually blinded, backing away, backpedaling
Oh
here. This
my
kill,
gosh.
then the showstopper to come through. Absolute heroics from Aspas. You can see as well the difference. Yeah, Sassy, absolutely mind blown.
Take them when you get them. They're few and far between those sort of rounds, but what a time for it to hit for Loud. 12 now on the board. Map 1. Not done yet, but looking better, and ZETA once again picking themselves up, trying to have this aggressive approach, and they have players now relatively deep, but Loud are so prepared for this depth, and 10 go down. They've lost their front line completely. And this is where the issues really start to mount. The spike left loose, and Les filling that gap. Static by his side. ZETA now down to just 1, and Laz is dead and buried. Loud pick up map 1 here, and in some